58, chasing the lights. Both had battles that brought them low, but they found a way to steal the show. Health concerns were weighing them down till they found a path that turned it around. Carnivore diet, they took the lead, finding strength in the promises they keep. Now they're living wild, living free, healing body and mind, just wait and see. Tune into the truth every single week. Real talk with Brian and Johnny, that's the peak. 8 p.m. on YouTube, gather near, uplifting vibes, let's give a cheer.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are live. It is Wednesday evening already. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. We've got quite a few people in the chat.
Awesome.
Already.
Yep.
So we're going to say hi. Paul is in here. Burnout or a carb craving win. So yes, our topic tonight is why people burn out on the carnivore diet and how to stop it. So we'll start getting into that here in a little bit. Rick is here. Hello, Rick. I actually interviewed Rick last night for my channel, and that video should be coming out Friday morning. So be on the lookout for that. I think it was a great interview. So thank you, Rick. Amy, Rockin' Coach.
Hey, Amy.
Linda, hello.
Hey, Linda. Glad to have you.
Amy's watching from both channels, supporting both of us. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Cindy's here too.
Yes. Yep, I haven't got to her yet. She's in here somewhere.
Okay.
I know I saw it.
Yeah.
Amy says she gets to watch the whole show tonight because she is at home recovering from surgery. So I hope everything went well, and I hope that the recovery goes well for you. Here we go. Here's Cynthia. Hello, Cynthia.
Hey, Cynthia.
And we have Donna, Bacon Runner. Good evening.
Hey, Donna. Donna Ray.
Coach Juliet Edens. Hello.
Hey, Juliet. Good to have you.
Rick says, happy to be interviewed. Not many bring me in for a second interview. Yes. So Rick was my very first interview. Like, I was thinking it was like a year and a half, but when I looked back, it was actually 2 years ago.
Wow.
And he is now the first person that I have interviewed twice. So distinction there.
Oh yeah.
Karen is here.
Hey, Karen.
Hello.
Sunny Florida.
Yep. Catching up on work and listening. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
All right. So I think we're caught up on who all is here so far. If anybody has a question, go ahead and put it in the chat with the big Q, capital Q in front, so that we can easily identify that it's a question. Oh, and I forgot to do this. Put the comments up so everybody can see the comments as they come in, because if you're on one channel, you might not see the comment from the other channel. So we'll just have them up there so you can see them all. Yes, she watches most of all of Rick's videos. Rick puts out a lot of great videos. Yep.
Although I have to admit, I didn't see many of Rick's this week because I had to work so many hours this week. I missed most of Rick's stuff this week, but I'm gonna go back and watch some of it.
Yep. Okay. So the topic: why people burn out on the carnivore diet and how to stop it. Johnny, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get us started with this topic, because you did come up with the topic, so let you kick it off.
I wrote down my top 7, but even as we're sitting here talking about it, I'm thinking of some more. But I think maybe the number one, Brian, maybe I shouldn't start with this, but I'm going to lead off with the number one reason I think people may actually burn out or get fatigued from the carnivore diet. And I guess the reason this is top of mind for me is this is the reason that I've fallen off the wagon a couple of times, as you guys well know, is I don't really have a support system. I'm the only person, it's just me and my wife. My kids are all grown and live on their own. But not really any support at home. It's tough when you're the only one doing something that seems odd. I mean, everybody does the standard American diet or the standard, European diet or whatever, which is usually not a healthy diet. So when you eat a proper human diet, it's almost like you're the odd man out. So I think at times I feel like I'm swimming upstream all day, every day. And sometimes you just get fatigued of trying to do the right thing for your body, even when people around you may or may not, understand what you're doing or support you in what you're doing. And I'm not saying that my family doesn't support me. It's just that they're tired of hearing about it. It doesn't affect them. They're fine. They're doing their thing. So it kind of makes me feel like the odd man out. And I think sometimes, well, I see a lot of success on these YouTube channels is when I see families doing it together, husbands and wives doing this together. And not to say that they can't have trials and tribulations, even when 2 people or 3 people in the house are doing it. It's just, for me, it makes it tough when you're the only one at home and the only one at work. And I have a work family too. I work a lot of hours, so I'm with my work family more than I'm with my real family. But when you're the only one doing it everywhere you go, it's easy to feel like at times maybe it's just not worth it, always swimming upstream, if you will. What are your thoughts on that, Brian?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I'm gonna add a little bit to that, and that I think from my own experiences, like when my wife goes out of town or something, because she's been out of town at times to see kids, one of our kids, for like a week or 2 weeks at a time. When I'm by myself, I do pretty good. But when she's here and she doesn't eat the carnivore diet, not that she tries, because she supports me, so it's not like she tries anything, but just that I see some of that other food, it makes it harder. So I'm going to say that for me, at least, when you're the only one doing it and there's other people around, it makes it harder. I think if you're by yourself, it might not be quite as hard, because
Right.
you can make sure you don't have those things in the pantry or in the fridge, whatever, and you're going to be doing better. So at least those are my experiences with it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. My kids live pretty far away from us, and so sometimes my wife will travel to go spend time with the kids and grandkids, and I don't go because I have to work. My wife is retired. I do really well when I'm the only person in the house, and I drove a tractor trailer, as you guys know, for about a year and a half when I really first started doing carnivore. I think that's when I started driving a tractor trailer. And I did really well because I was in the truck by myself, so I didn't have to worry about pleasing others or not disappointing others or not getting an argument about food. It made it really easy to stay consistent, and I did very well. I struggle the most when I'm around people that are eating things that I ate for 56 years that I still really want to eat, and the temptation is right there in front of me. And so, yeah, to your point, Brian, when I'm home, it seems like it's easier, but I'd rather be with family than be alone, obviously. But it does seem like when
Yeah.
I'm at the house by myself, those temptations are not quite as in my face, if you will. You
Yeah.
guys in the comments, if you think of other things too that why people, and we all know if you follow the carnivore YouTube space or the carnivore Facebook groups or whatever, you'll know people out there. We all know some of the bigger influencers that have fallen off the wagon and kind of maybe gone by the wayside. Put your comments down there what you think some of the reasons may be. But that was my first one, Brian.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know, this could be in your list. And well, let me go to this comment real quick first. Cynthia says, Johnny, I thank you for influencing my husband for starting carnivore. His BGs are down. Blood glucose, are down. Granted, he is not seeing it. The stubborn Norwegian, but he's doing great.
I'm so happy to be a part of that. Thank you, Cynthia. That makes me feel amazing. I'm living my best life, that's for sure. And if I can inspire just one other person to give this thing a try, then it's all been worth it.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So I was going to say, one of the things that I think why people might get burnout on the carnivore diet is because, how do I want to say this? They try to pay attention to influencers and do exactly what the influencer is doing which could be in a completely different, they may have been doing carnivore for a few years already, and this person might be in their first month or two, right? Rather than trying to just take in all the information from influencers and find what works best for them. And I'm not sure if that totally came out the way I wanted it to, but I guess what I mean is that they might be trying to imitate what someone else is doing and isn't necessarily working right for them, but somebody else is doing it, so that's what I need to do, rather than finding what works best for them. And then I think people get frustrated and not seeing the results they want to see, and then they lose motivation and then give up. And I think that is a big one. So what do you think about that one?
Well, that's a great point, Brian, because you and I are a perfect example here. We're both tall, still overweight kind of guys, and we both came from very unhealthy places. You, if I'm understanding correctly, your story, you kind of eased into this. You started keto and you didn't go whole hog. And your advice to your listeners and the people on the podcast here is to take it slow, 4 to 6 weeks, depending on, what stage of healing you need to be in or whatever. And I was the exact opposite. I went cold turkey. Pardon the pun, cold turkey. I went, from standard American diet on Sunday to carnivore 100% on Monday. And I paid the price for it. I had some stomach issues there for a while, but I had to just plow through. So if somebody that needs to go a little slower and make minor adjustments tries to go like full whole hog like I did, they could have more issues than they anticipate. And they might say, well, this obviously doesn't work for me. Where had they followed your plan and gone slower over a 4 to 6 week period and just reduce their carbs every day or every week, they'd probably have great success. So I think you made a great point there, Brian. It's not one size fits all. A prime example, we're both doing the ferment thing. And for almost 3 years or better, you didn't do ferments. For 2 years or better, I didn't do ferments. That's something that we both recently added that we didn't even know we really could do. So it just goes to show you that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I think people, because you see it on Facebook, we see it in some of the comments sometimes, you see it on some of the other social media sites. I'm doing this. What do you guys think about this? I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and it's not working. What should I do? And they'll get 20 different answers to the same questions. You should do this. No. You should do this. And the thing about it is, I think this is one of those instances where you kind of have to chart your own path. We know the fundamentals, as close to 0 carbs as you can get. Try not to snack between meals. Try to get good sleep, all that stuff. But what works for Amy may not work for Cynthia. What works for Rick may not work for me. I mean, we're all different. So I think you make a great point. People will get frustrated and give up if what they see another person doing doesn't work for them the way it did for that person. So that's a great point. I think you put it perfectly, actually.
Okay. Yeah. We got some good comments, I think, that are coming in here. So I'm going to show some of them.
Sure.
I'm a carnivore. My husband is a muggle. He's addicted to peanut butter M&Ms, and I'm addicted to bacon. It works out well, though. No problems. Luckily, I'm not a carb addict at all. That's good, because I am that addict. Like, I'm 3 years on carnivore, and I'm still that addict. If you put the wrong food, you put like a Reese's peanut butter cup in front of me, I'm going to have a hard time not eating it. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Amy says, I think the addiction is just too strong. If I didn't have terrible reactions to food that prevent me from falling off, I might have to. I get too sick if I eat something bad. Some people have no, and I saw it here somewhere, with repercussions for cheating.
Let me jump right there, Brian, if I can, because that speaks what or actually what Amy's saying speaks to one of my. So this is number 5. So the 5th one. So I'll have done number 1, and this is number 5. And the reasons I think people, this happens to me. I got to be honest with you. Even this week, when you do carnivore and you do it well, and you have such tremendous improvements in how you feel, your mental clarity, your energy levels, you may forget what life was like before you went carnivore. and you begin to feel invincible. And even this week, I ended up eating a darn donut on my way to work, and I think, oh, it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to hurt me. And the truth of the matter is, it didn't really hurt me, but it started that food noise in my head. All I could think about the rest of the day was, well, I've already screwed up. I might as well go ahead and just blow the day because I've already messed up. So did I suffer repercussions from the one donut? No, not really. Nothing hurts. Nothing changed. I probably didn't lose any weight that day, but it started that cycle of, well, I had one, I should have another. I should go ahead and just waste today and binge today because I can start back over tomorrow. So I think people get on that cycle, and we've seen this with people in the space, myself included, that once you do that a few times, you're like, well, I guess I'm too weak. I'm not strong enough to do this. Apparently this doesn't work for me. Fortunately, I came to my senses and I said, you know what? I made a mistake. I enjoyed that 33 seconds of eating that chocolate donut or whatever, but I'm done. I put it behind me. But I think sometimes you feel so good, you almost feel invincible, and you feel like, oh, I can go back and do this, this, and this, and it won't hurt me. And in small doses, maybe not. Maybe once here and there, maybe not. But if it leads you down that path of the standard American diet, you're going to go back to the standard American illness that you're trying to get away from. And that's me kind of talking to you guys and talking to myself.
Yeah. I want to share an interesting story. For the first 3 years or so that I've been on carnivore, anytime I would have some peanuts or peanut butter, which I know is not carnivore, but let's put it out there. There's times that I eat things I shouldn't. Anytime I would do that, I'd get joint pain. My fingers, like one of my fingers would usually, I think it was on this hand, would tighten up, right? Like I couldn't bend it properly. It would get sore. Or I'd feel it like in my ankles, my foot, that type of thing, right? The last time I did something like that was probably June, somewhere in there. So what? That's like 4 months ago. Sunday night, I had some peanuts. They were there. And I ate them. And I know I shouldn't, but I did. And I expected, well, as I'm sitting there eating, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this, because something's going to start hurting me either later tonight or the next day. And it never happened. Now, peanuts are high in oxalates. And I don't know, because it's the only time it's happened this way where I didn't get the pain. But the one thing that keeps me thinking in the back of my mind is my gut. And, you have microbiome that eats oxalates, right? And I've been doing the fermented foods, and I think that my gut feels better than I can ever remember. And I wonder if that has something to do with it. I don't know. I don't want to try to eat the peanuts again or peanut butter again to see if it happens again or not. But it just seems weird. And I'm just wondering. I'm wondering out loud for everybody to hear now.
Yeah.
That's the first time in 3 years on the carnivore diet that I didn't get pain for half a day or something from doing that. It's interesting.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to catch us up on some more. NSX Tech is here. So hello.
Hey, good to see you.
Karen says Carnivore Dan and I are both carnivore, so it works out well for supporting each other.
I love Carnivore Dan, by the way. I follow him on Facebook.
Carnivore
I love him.
So he's on Facebook. Does he do any other, or is he just Facebook? Do we know?
I don't know if he does he have a YouTube channel? I don't think he does, but he's very active on Facebook, and I love the guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's a common sense guy. I love him to death.
Yep, he's great.
All that.
Okay. Cynthia has a question, I think. Has anyone else been asked not to mention carnivore? Otherwise, no is the C word around here. I think I drove my family crazy. I can tell you, I used to talk about things so much that if I start to talk about something, like I have certain family members that are like, not again. Can you just please stop? So yes, I get that. I don't even have to mention the word carnivore. They say something and I'm like, well, actually, that has sugar. They're like, Brian, stop. So yes, I do get that. Do you have that problem ever at home?
Yes, at work. It's funny because we've hired some new employees and I'm the trainer. I train most of the new employees that come through. And so usually if somewhere over the course of the day, the new employee, be it male or female, young or old, will say, I've already been pre-warned that you do some kind of crazy diet and you're going to talk about it all day. So they've already been pre-warned. So all my coworkers tell the new people coming in, this guy, John, he's going to train you. I go by John at work, but I prefer Johnny, but they call me John there. He's going to train you. He's going to show you how to do the stuff. He's really good. But the bad part is you got to listen to 8 hours of this crazy nonsense about eating meat, so they all get forewarned. So yeah, I have to temper it where you can only encourage people so much, that's why having this community is so great because, at work and at home, my wife, she don't want to hear anything about this. She's just, for 2 years and 3 months, this is all, it's been top of mind, top of my conversation. And she's like, you realize you told me the same thing 10 million times. I get it. You eat meat. Okay, move on. So same thing here, Cynthia. Same thing here.
Yeah. Okay. Where am I? Here we go. I have people reaching out to me all the time to help them get started. That's great. I've had a few people. Johnny's had a few. Not a lot for me, but I've had a couple. Good.
Yeah, I have a young guy at work, Jesse. Jesse's probably watching. If you're out there, Jesse, hey buddy, how you doing? He's 22 years old. He's Latino, Jesse Gonzalez, and so obviously in the Latino community, rice and beans are a really big part of their culture. And he's gone completely carnivore. He's lost and he wasn't a big guy at all, but he's lost like 30 pounds. And he was already a sharp young man, but he is, man, you can really see a difference in his mental sharpness and how motivated he is and how strong he is. And he went carnivore because of me. He'd never heard of it prior to, and he and I were partners on the Amulets for a couple of months. So we play golf together from time to time. He's a great young man. And then I have a buddy of mine, I think I've talked about him a few times on here, Larry, a guy that I went to high school with. Larry's, basically the same age as me. We've known each other for 40 plus years. And he reached out to me about 5 or 6 weeks ago, said that he'd been pre-diabetic for years. He'd had a lot of health issues. And now he's kind of converted over to full-blown diabetes. And he wanted me to help him. He said, John, I don't think I'm going to live much longer. And he might not have. So I've been coaching him, and we text each other back and forth 4 or 5 times a week. And I encourage him every morning. I try to. And so he's doing really, really, really well with it. And he's Asian. His background is Asian. So rice is a big part of his culture. And so that was really been the hardest part, is getting away from the things that he's eaten since he was a boy that his whole family eats. But he sees a pretty good bit of improvement now. And just to put a period on that, I reached out to him yesterday and asked him, would he be interested in coming on my channel? Let me interview him on my channel. And he was all about it. He said, absolutely, I'd love to come on and share my testimony with your audience. So probably going to be doing that next week. And I'm uber excited for that.
That's great. All right. Got some more comments I had highlighted here. Let's see. Paul says, despite how good carnivore is, it still takes some willpower. And that is definitely true. And I'll say there are some exceptions. Some people just seem to do really well. Somebody like Rick, who's been doing it for a long time, they probably don't really get those temptations. But a lot of us, it was ingrained in us for so long for our lives. For me, 48 years that, it was okay to eat these foods. And so it definitely does take willpower, to try and stay on track and stay away from those bad foods. Amy says, I get so much physical pain when I eat off plan. It's not about just gaining weight for me. Yep. And depending on what it is I eat, I will have the same thing happen. Like I talked about the peanuts, peanut butter, that kind of stuff.
And Brian, for me, it's the exact opposite. I wish I really wish I had more of a reaction, because I think that would be a better, help me stay motivated better if when I ate something off plan, if it kicked my butt.
Mm.
But, you know, for whatever reason, and I have gone off the deep end, and it did, after about a week of binging, because my problem is binging on carbs. I don't just eat a few, I eat everything I get my hands on. And then I can't stop myself. Then it's one of those vicious cycles. The more I binge, the more I want to binge, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when when I do that, then I do have like my right hip starts hurting again. Maybe my knee starts hurting again, where I have osteoarthritis. But if I slip up one thing here, one thing there, have a few grapes, have this, that, or the other, a little bit I have a spoonful of peanut butter every now and then. It doesn't seem to affect me, other than it just stalls my weight loss. I really wish maybe to some degree that it was worse, because that would be a bigger motivator for me not to be tempted.
Yeah. And I wonder if after maybe more time, if that'll change for you, because I do hear from some people that have been carnivore for a long time, been really strict for a long time, that to them, it seems like anytime you take something else, your body just is completely not used to it, and it tells you.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if you run into that later down the road with carnivore.
Yeah.
So Paul says 30 to 40 grams of, I'm assuming this means grams of carbs, will set him back 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's definitely people like that it really affects them really badly. That's a good way to stay motivated.
Yep.
Right. Donna says it's not burned out, but I am finding a hard time to stop losing weight at 98 pounds now. I eat way more than my husband. I may have to add some carbs in if eating a ton of non-carb food doesn't help. That there are some people that are like that. I'm just going to use Rick as an example. In our interview that we did last night, which you'll be able to see Friday, but one of the things we were talking about was how much he eats. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I can tell you he eats a lot more than me in a given day, and he can't gain weight. He is really thin. And I don't think that I eat a small amount. So you can't say, well, I'm not eating enough. And that's why, it's just different people, different bodies. It's the way it is sometimes. I've got to catch up. I'm like way behind on comments again. Those were the ones I had selected. While I'm checking to see some good comments, do you want to go into the next thing that you had on your list?
Sure. I think people that do this for a couple of years, I think maybe women more than men. I think I could be wrong. It could be 180 degrees opposite, but it just seems like a lot of women want more variety. They want more color, more presentation, different textures. I think men were simple, but I think they eventually begin to see this as boring. Gosh, I've been eating the same thing now for a year. I've had, hamburger, steak, pork chops, chicken, and it's the same thing over and over again. And my rebut to that is, I agree, but prior to going carnivore, I eat a hamburger, French fries, and a Diet Dr. Pepper just about every day of my life. If it wasn't that, it was Arby's with the potato cakes or the curly fries and, sweet tea back in the day, or I would eat Chinese takeout. I didn't have a lot of variety in my diet. I eat sweets. I eat, some kind of pie or cake, or pastry is my big thing. I'd eat some kind of pastry every morning without fail. And then I'd eat breakfast, and then later on I'd have a snack with a pastry. So I didn't have a lot of variety in my diet before. It was just a lot of the same really bad food. So I can see how in your mind you think, oh, this is boring. This is not fun. There's no variety here, but that maybe is not always the case. Like, for example, Brian, I sent you some pictures earlier. So people think, well, I want to have a snack, and there's not really anything you can snack with carnivore. And of course, you can always do the boiled eggs or whatever, but you can get creative. I think a lot of people, like my wife, one of her great pleasures in life is making different recipes in the kitchen. So I decided to try something today for our video. Brian, if you get a chance, if you could bring maybe those pictures up. Something I just tried. I saw this on somebody else's channel.
So here's the first picture.
Yeah, so all this is some mozzarella cheese. It was in a bag, but it didn't have any cellulose in it. It was a rather, well, it wasn't really expensive, but it was actually the store brand, but there was no cellulose in it. But I didn't really have time to buy the thing and grade it and get ready for the tonight's podcast. So that's just some mozzarella cheese and some pepperoni. That's all it is. There's nothing else there. And I put it on I didn't even put parchment paper down or anything. So I took that and I put it in the oven on 350 degrees for like 8 minutes. And then it looked like this.
There you go.
Yep. And then once it cooled off a little bit, I couldn't let it cool down too much. But once it cooled off a little bit, I kind of rolled it up into like pizza rolls. And now it looks like this. All right. And back to full screen, Brian. Or with us, I mean.
Yep.
So here it is. All this is mozzarella cheese and pepperoni. So it's like a pizza bite or whatever. And I've not tasted this yet. So this will be an on-screen taste. Let me see if I can get a piece of pepperoni in there. And I made this like 2 hours ago, but that's fantastic. I cannot believe I've never done it. But I love pepperoni. And is this the cleanest thing to eat? No, it's not. It's not clean. But Brian, you put a Facebook post out, I think earlier today, about progress over perfection. You know, every step is a step forward. I can't remember, and I commented on your Facebook post. But that's the problem. And one of my other reasons that people go off plan or have carnivore burnout is they feel like they can't achieve perfection. Well, if I can't do it perfectly, then apparently I can't do it at all. And you see that a lot. And then you in the groups, somebody says I had an olive, and then 20 people attack them like they're the terrible person. Oh my God, you had something that's not carnivore. Get out of here. And that, it used to not upset me, but the more I see it, the more, Brian, like you, it upsets me. Progress over perfection. 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still 1 step forward. And when you're first starting out, you got to do what you got to do, right? So that's an example of a snack, right? So if you want to have a snack that's really inexpensive, really cheap, and it took 15 minutes to make, probably 10 minutes to make. I bought this at the store today, these Chomps beef sticks, right? So some people say, well, with carnivore, I can't think of anything to snack. I'm not going to fix a steak for a snack. But there are things, and this is not the most inexpensive thing, but it's a beef stick. It's relatively clean. It's one of the better brands. There's pork rinds, there's boiled eggs, there's all kinds of things you can do to have if you have to snack between meals. Eventually, if you do this and do it correctly and eat to your comfortably stuffed, as Dr. Berry would say, you won't need to snack. And you'll see that there's a lot more variety in this way of eating than initially you would think.
Yeah. When I was early on carnivore, probably my favorite thing to snack on in the evening if I got hungry was bacon.
Yep.
Okay, I got some comments that I selected here. We're going to take a look at. Cynthia says, I thought my cravings were pretty much over until my husband bought me some vitamin B12 gummies. Don't know why the stupid gummies call to me all the time. A vitamin silly. And then Amy says it's because there's sugar in them.
Yep.
And she says, yes, still they only have 1 carb, but they are like candy. So I would check the label because they could have the fake sugars, which take the carbohydrate out, but they still, with that fake sugar, are addicting to you. And I would check that because they could have the fake sugars that are still very addicting.
And Brian, the reason those fake sugars are addicting is because of the pleasure response in the brain, the dopamine response, and they still spike your insulin. Even though there's no sugar there, your tongue interprets it as sweet, even though a lot of these artificial sweeteners, if you tasted them by themselves, they're extremely bitter. But when they mix it with other things, it makes it seem sweet. So you have an insulin response too. So thus you get the dopamine response. So even though there's no carbs in it, like Brian said, it's still very addicting and it still spikes your insulin. Because this whole battle that we're all fighting here is about maintaining stable insulin levels. And eating something that's sugar-free still can spike your insulin because your tongue interprets it as sweet. Pancreas shoots some insulin out, and now there you go.
Yep. Donna brought up that old guy carnivore has been talking about severe carb addiction lately. I would say that probably most of us have some sort of carb addiction, you know? And I think that here's something let me put out there. Like, you do see these statistics a lot, but Dr. Sean Baker had a video that came out recently where basically 9 out of 10 people that start the carnivore diet will fail. They won't continue with it. So all of us here that are continuing, even if we struggle, we are in a group of 10%, you know? So you should be proud of yourself for where you're at, even if you've been struggling with it, just that you keep going and you keep trying, because most people out there fail with it. And you don't really fail as long as you keep trying. You know, I know, yeah, we all want to be great and not make mistakes, but it's part of human nature.
Yep.
And just don't ever give up. Keep going with it and keep trying and try and find what works best for you.
Brian, I don't want
Peter's
to.
here.
Hey, Peter,
Hello,
Papa
Peter.
Carnivore. I don't want to call these two folks out, but they've put this out on their YouTube channel, so I think we're okay doing this. But Cassie and help me out here, Brian. Cassie and
Larry.
Carnivore. What's their channel? Carnivore
Quest.
Carnivore Quest. That's right. Larry and Cassie. You know, they've been at this thing, I think 3 years, pretty close to 3 years, maybe 3 years. And they have been up and down, but they've never quit. They're still fighting. And like I've told many people, and like I told Brian, and I've told everybody else, you are worth fighting for. Even if the fight takes 10 years, you don't lose until you throw your hands up and say, I quit. Look at me. I've fallen off the wagon twice. I've been in and out of the hospital. I've had heart problems, but I continue every day to wake up and say, I just got to win today. I'm not going to worry about 3 years down the road. I have to win today. I have to be my own advocate today. Do I succeed every day? Lately, not so much. I've been under a mountain of stress. My wife and I are getting ready to sell our house and move, and that's one of the most stressful things you can do. Stress is my trigger. So still working at it. But if you stop, if you give up, you throw your hands up, that's when you lose. If you just keep fighting for yourself, keep advocating for yourself, you never really lose. That's what, and I think people, once they fall off the wagon, they say, well, it's no use. I can never go back. And I know some people like that. Some people that are YouTubers that are really good friends of mine, and probably friends of you guys too, that have just seemed to completely given up and not even willing to give it a second try. And it's a shame. You hope that they will try it again and get back on the horse.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I was just hitting some more. Here we go. Comments. Paul says carnivore does not mean animal products only, and that is true. So there are people that are very strict carnivore where they're not going to eat anything else, and that's fine. And when you look at the definition for carnivore, it technically is 70% or more. Bart K, let's use him as an example. He's very big on preaching you don't ever need to eat any carbohydrates from plants, right? But he will even tell you he's probably more like 99% carnivore. He's not 100%. It's part of human nature, especially with how we've been raised with so many carbs and so forth. So that is true. Donna takes bacon on road trips. That's an excellent idea. And this kind of goes back to the whole thing about 70% and so forth of carnivore. So Amy says, I called myself ketovore for a long time because I didn't want the carnivore police to come after me for eating an occasional veggie. And I think that I think was worse a year or two ago. I don't think it's as bad now, but it's still out there. But I think that's why some people stopped doing their YouTube channels, because they would eat something maybe every once in a while, or they'd highlight that they fell off for a week or something, and they would just get all kinds of nasty comments, ridiculous comments. And it's like people forget we're all human and we're all trying the best that we can, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that always gets me. Rick has diplomatic immunity from any carnivore police.
That's right.
We were just talking about that last night too. And Paul says, I think the 90-10 is not a good and true data point. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that before from people, and I know that's what Dr. Sean Baker had in his video. I've kind of heard in general, no matter what kind of diet it is, that I can't remember if it was 80 or 90% of people end up failing. They fall off the diet and gain the weight back, no matter what type of diet it is. So I don't know. It's hard to say. You can manipulate the numbers however you want to, the data, right? So maybe that's not an exact true, but it could be. How many people out there try carnivore for like a week or two? Maybe they go straight to carnivore from eating a lot of processed foods and they have issues with their gut, diarrhea and stuff, and they say, I'm done, and they don't try it again. There's probably a lot of people that we don't even hear about that do that.
I got a good friend of mine, truck driver friend of mine. He went carnivore. He was doing keto and doing pretty good, and fell off keto and put a lot of weight back on it. He's in his 70s and he's got a lot of health issues. He really needs to, he's running out of time to get this stuff under control. So he decided to try carnivore, and he was losing a little bit of weight, feeling a lot better. But he had he had a keto meter, I can't remember the name of it, the keto meter that checks your ketones, and it never would show him in ketosis. And so he said, well, that don't work for me. So he quit, even though he was feeling better. He wanted, his idea of carnivore was being able to see the ketones on the little meter. And when he didn't see that, he just quit. And I was flabbergasted. But I pray for him. I hope that he gets better. But he's taking one of the GLP-1 medications, and he's trying that route, which I applaud anybody for trying to get healthier. It's just, it was ironic that one thing, even though he was feeling better, had more mobility and flexibility, and was losing weight, because he didn't show ketones on his little meter, he said, well, it's not working for me. Yeah, kind of weird.
So going back to Cynthia's thing about the gummies, she threw them in the garbage.
Yeah.
Good job. Amy says, did you know only 3% of food addicts are successful at overcoming their addiction? And then this is actually supposed to be cocaine addicts have a 30% success rate for recovery. That's pretty interesting.
Well, all the data that you see when they run the test, they do, I think it's called an EEG, electroencephalogram, where they put the little electrodes all over your head, and they'll give a heroin addict a dose of heroin, and they'd see what part of the brain lights up. Of course, this is done in a lab, and then they give a sugar addict sugar, and like 30% more of the brain lights up. So the takeaway from that is sugar is 30% more addictive than heroin. And how many people kick a heroin addiction? Very, very few.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, I know this, and there are people, some, what do they call them? Whistleblowers from the food industry that say that a lot of the food that's out there on the shelf today, especially in America, is engineered for that to be true. When you mix fat with carbs, which really doesn't happen anywhere in nature, that tends to make it extremely addictive. And so I'm not saying that it's not your fault because you make the decision to pick something up, but are you really making the decision, or is your desire for that dopamine hit? They took some rats and they put a wire in their brain that would, if they mashed a button with their paw, their foot, it would stimulate the part of the brain that releases dopamine. And when the rat figured out that they could mash this button and get a dopamine hit, they just sat there and hit that button until they died, because that dopamine hit was so strong, so addictive. So anything you do that gives you dopamine hit, social media gives you a dopamine hit. If I put out a video and it gets 10,000 views, I can't help it. It's a dopamine hit. If somebody puts out there a picture of themselves on, especially like a 14, 15-year-old girl puts this picture of herself in a really nice dress and her hair done just so, and she puts it on, selfie on social media, she's immediately going to start checking to see how many likes or how many reposts she gets or comments or whatever. And when she gets a certain number, there's a dopamine release that happens with that. And all this stuff is engineered to be this way. This is not coincidence. Hate to be all conspiracy theory, but when the tobacco industry came under fire for doing this, for making cigarettes much more addictive through engineering, and they got caught and they got sued and lost this multi-billion-dollar lawsuit back in the 70s. All those engineers went to work in the food companies to do the same thing. Fact check me on that one.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna catch us up on some more comments. Bride's Biscuit is here. Hello.
Hey, good to have you.
I know just about all veggies are bad for me based on an elimination and n equals 1, but I still eat some. Leftover habit of my carb addiction, dealing with one food at a time. You know, one issue I have, so I think over 3 years now, almost 3.5 years at this point, actually, on the carnivore diet, I've slowly ate out at restaurants less and less, right? That over time, it's been kind of, but before carnivore, that was like one of the big things for my wife and I that we would do is go out and get dinner. You know, that was like a big socialization thing. And so it's something we still do, not as often, but we still do it. And that's something that I think for me, I struggle with because I try my best to not eat bad foods. But, you know, at a restaurant, you really don't have a lot of control over how they cook the food and so forth. And it might trigger things. And depending on where you go, there might be something that is just ridiculous and stupid that I do. Like, it's been a long time, but I'd say in the first year I was on carnivore, my wife maybe would have a salad and I didn't get the salad. Try and be good. And then she wouldn't eat it all. And you know what? I'd end up taking a couple forks of it for no reason. Like, why would I do that? You know? It's like, I know I don't want to eat that stuff, but yet I'll still do it. Now, it's been a long time probably since I've done that. Like, I haven't had a salad in at least a few years. But, you know, those are just things that would happen. And that's one of the things that's really hard, I think, when we go back to one of the first things we were talking about with other people around, how sometimes it can be harder. And, you know, we're used to going out to restaurants and stuff. It's hard to just completely shut that off. We did that for years and years. And it's getting easier, I think. But at the same time, you know, my wife doesn't do carnivore and she still likes to go out to dinner. So we try and go to a place that I'm going to be able to eat steak or something and be pretty clean with it, but it doesn't always work the best. Puts you in an interesting situation, you know. I am way behind in comments. There's a lot of comments today. Did anyone watch No Carb Life with him interviewing the bioengineering professor the other day? It's so very good, and she tells a lot of great info. I did not see it. Did you see it, Johnny?
I haven't. I saw the thumbnail for it. I got to go back and watch it. This week for me, just quick aside, has been crazy. We have been so busy at work because there are so many sick people that need to go to a nursing home or dialysis or to the hospice, unfortunately. One quick aside here. The reason I hadn't watched I hadn't seen any of Rick's stuff this week. Brian, I just watched your video from earlier today, right before we went online. So I try to stay abreast with everything. But I read a stat the other day that said, and this was put out by Mayo Clinic or somebody, that in America, every 3 minutes, a limb is amputated because of diabetes. So every 3 minutes, 365 days a year on average, somebody loses a foot, a leg, an arm, a hand, finger, whatever from diabetes. And that next day, which would have been day before yesterday, which would have been Monday, I transported 5 patients. The oldest one was 71. The youngest one was 49. And all 5 of them were missing a limb. Now, that was just, you know, I guess I never really paid that close of attention to it. But yeah, so I need to go back and catch up on on some of the videos, but that was just an interesting thing that I read that I think over the weekend, and then day before yesterday, every patient we transported was missing a leg, a hand, foot, something, without exception.
Yeah.
So.
That's bad. It's
Yeah.
sad.
So that's what we're combating here, all of us in this community, and that's what we're trying to bring awareness to. Because these people were not 90 years old; they were younger than Brian. They were much younger than me. Some were my age. Some was like in the early 60s, and
Yeah.
which begs the question: how can I not stay motivated to stay 100% on point when I see this every day? And it gets back to, like Brian said, we're all human. We went to a steakhouse the other day, Brian. I didn't mean to derail here, but we went to one of my favorite restaurants, period, the end, is Logan's Roadhouse. I love Logan's. They have a steak called the Logan. I get it medium or medium rare, thanks to Brian teaching me about that. And then I ordered 2 baked potatoes because it comes with 2 sides. So I get 2 baked potatoes with butter and sour cream and on the side, and I just don't eat the potatoes. But we went there, and as soon as we sat down, they brought 6 steaming hot rolls. Those good dinner rolls that they bring out as soon as you sit down, Usually they bring 1 or 2. They brought us a platter of 6 of them with 2 different types of butter. And I was starving. And I said, not going to have any, not going to have any. And my wife, sitting there, she put butter on hers and ate it real good. And there were still 5 of them sitting there, and it smelled so good. And I said, well, I'll have a bite. I'll cut off the end of one and put a little butter on it. Well, I ended up eating the whole thing, and then another one.
Yeah.
So I didn't ask for the bread. I didn't, but they brought it and set it down, and it was smelling so good, and I was so hungry. So, lesson learned.
I've been lucky. Like, bread doesn't call to me. If we go out and they have bread, my wife will have a couple pieces of bread, and the rest of it just sits there, and I'm fine with it. That's one thing that doesn't seem to bother me.
Yeah.
It's more the sweeter stuff, I guess, that bothers me. Peter says, I occasionally eat some pickles, sauerkraut with my meat, and whole milk, Greek yogurt, or brie cheese with
Brie.
berries from time to time. Brie,
Yeah.
sorry. As Dr. Barkay says, the textbook definition of a hypercarnivore is any animal or human that consumes 70% animals and 30% or less plants. Yep, that is the official scientific definition of carnivore. I'm well within that ratio. I would say 90%. I think that's good.
And Brian, what's better, 70-30 or maybe 80-20, or the standard American diet, which is probably 40-60? You know what I'm saying? I mean, even if you're doing 70-30 and 70% is good, healthy animal fats and animal products, you are so far ahead of probably 90% of the population in the East, or in the West. I mean, would you agree?
And I would. I'd also say this, though. If you're going to be more 70-30 or 80-20 or whatever, that 20 or 30%, try and make it be whole food.
Yes.
Right. Not Reese's peanut butter cups, stuff like that. Rick, am I the only person who finds eating out to be a letdown? I'm going to say no, but I want to go to this one for Amy. She says, no, Rick, I am let down by eating out. I had the worst ribeye at Texas Roadhouse this last weekend. It was so tough and expensive. I have letdowns with eating out all the time myself, and you might too, Johnny. But like for me, the price is one thing. Like, it's crazy. And some places are more expensive than others. Like Texas Roadhouse isn't quite as expensive as Outback, for instance.
Right.
But the price of getting a steak, and then it's usually not as much meat as I would eat at home. So I have to get more. Same thing, like we've gone to Mission Barbecue a few times. I'll get pulled pork or whatever. The last time I was there, they had this special with ribeye, and I got ribeye, but it's not as much meat as I normally would. So I'd have to get like double meal, 2 meals or something, because I won't eat sides. I won't get the sides. And it just ends up being so costly. And the other thing, like Amy said, sometimes it just doesn't taste as good as what you cooked at home. And some of that might be because of how they are cooking it there. You can even ask them like how they're cooking it. Some places will say, we're cooking it in tallow or whatever, or ask them that, hey, I have an allergy to certain seed oils. I need it cooked in butter or tallow or whatever. And they'll say they did. That doesn't mean that they did. You know? when you're cooking it at home, you know how you're cooking it, what you're cooking it in.
But I got to say, Brian, I went to the grocery store today, and I was looking at. Went to a couple different grocery stores. I was looking at ribeye, looking at New York strip. Now this was not Costco or Sam's. This was a regular grocery store, and I ended up buying some more of that cube steak. You remember I did that cube steak video I think last week, and it was oh my gosh, it was good. It was so good. It's so easy. And I bought a big thing of it today. It was $9.99 a pound for cube steak. So I got like 1.3 pounds. So I'll eat that. That'll be one meal. And it was like $14. And that's if I don't eat anything else with it. And that's cooking it at home. So it's like, it's hard to find unless you find something on sale, and stock up or like get the manager's markdown or the stuff that has to be sold that day or whatever. It's because when we go to Logan's Roadhouse and I get, let's say the meal I get is called the Logan. I think it's a 10-ounce sirloin. And I used to have problems because sometimes it'd be tough, but Brian, you've kind of got me going more. I was doing medium, now I'm doing medium rare. And when I do it either medium or medium, sometimes I'll order it medium and I swear they're bringing out medium rare, but it's on point every time. And they cook over a flame. So they don't put your steak in any, like a fry. It's not going in a frying pan. If you watch through the window, this flame, they just lay it on a grill, and I'm sure that grill is powered by natural gas or whatever. So I think it's relatively clean. I don't know what spices they put on there, but I've not had that big of an issue since I've started cutting back on how much I let them cook my meat. If I get it more medium or medium rare, I'm having pretty good success. But not everybody wants to eat, meat that's not cooked to at least medium. Like my wife always gets hers medium well. But I've even gone to doing my hamburgers medium. And I made some hamburgers the other day in my little electric skillet that I made kind of medium rare. It was really good. So anyway, I don't know if that helps. I think you get more nutrition from the food. Don't you agree, Brian? If you don't cook it to death.
Yeah. The more you cook, and that's the same thing with vegetables, for instance. The more you cook it, the less nutrients that are left in it. Now, vegetables aren't as bioabsorbed by your body as the meat is, but it's the same thing there. The longer you cook it, the more nutrients that are cooked out of it. So that is kind of that's one of the main talking points for people that eat raw meat. I've never done the raw meat thing. I haven't been able to bring myself to that. But it's funny though, because my wife is big medium, right? Like she wants a steak. Like she wants me to cook a steak for her. If we go to a restaurant, she wants it medium. And I'll be like, yeah, I like my medium rare. And she's like, I've seen your steaks. I think they're more rare than medium rare. But that's part of it. Like I think about the nutrients, and then I just got used to eating it that way, and I like it that way. So I don't know. Rick's cooking up his version of turducken for Thanksgiving, involving geese, lizards, and a surprise ingredient.
Lizards.
We are kind of getting close to Thanksgiving. We're only a month away. We're going to have to do a live stream talking about Thanksgiving here in the next couple of weeks. What are good options? And, for people like in my situation will be where I'm going to be the only one that's carnivore. What exactly am I going to do to make sure that I stay as clean as possible? And I think I've done a pretty good job the last couple of years with Thanksgiving. Maybe last year after Thanksgiving, things started to derail a little bit. But on Thanksgiving, I did a pretty good job. So that could be an interesting live stream for us. And I think we come up with some good ideas. I think I could have some good experiences I can share.
Hey, Brian, I've got another thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We haven't talked about your list in a while. Let's go back to the list.
And this will tie in. I think this will probably be a lot of people. And I know, Brian, this has been true for you and true for me for a long time. People hit a weight loss stall. They lose. Like I lost weight so fast immediately. I had healing first. Like the first 3 weeks I went carnivore, I only lost like 5 pounds. But then when my plantar fasciitis, which was debilitating, it was crazy how bad it hurt. It went away like overnight. and then my right hip pain went away, and I started becoming more active. Then I really started losing weight, but I haven't really lost any weight in, I don't know, 5, 6 months probably. Now, I've lost and gained the same 10 pounds probably 20 times, you know. But I think people, if their motivation is they want to lose weight, once they hit a weight loss plateau, and you talked about this, and one of your posts earlier today, I think, you know, you didn't get morbidly obese or obese, whatever, in 3 months. What makes you think you're going to lose all that weight in 3 months? And I'm paraphrasing what you said, but I think people hit a weight loss stall and they begin to think, well, this isn't working because I'm not losing weight. And then they disregard the fact that they're sleeping better, they're not snoring, they have less joint pain, they have more clear, you know, their brain is clearer, they have less brain fog. They get so stuck, and I'm guilty of this. If you watch my channel, you know I'm guilty of this, of focusing so daggum hard on that number on the scale that they'll give up, they'll get fatigued or burned out, because even though 99% of their life is better, because their pants or the dress size hasn't gone down one size, that it's a failure. So they get burnt out and they fatigue and they say they give up. And if you read the comments on, especially in the Facebook groups, you know, I haven't lost a pound in 3 weeks. You know, what am I doing wrong? And not understanding that your body is still healing on the inside. Your liver's healing, your pancreas is healing, everything's still healing. And you might have spurts of weight loss. And then, like you said, Brian, when you added the ferments in, you made that one change, and it was a minor change, but that brought additional weight loss and inch loss to your waist. But I think people, when that scale stops moving, they begin to assume that the diet is not working or the way of life is not working for them because the scale stopped moving, irregardless of the fact that they've already lost 50 or 60 or 70 pounds or whatever. And they get fatigued or burned out because that was their only, or their main motivation was seeing a very particular number on the scale.
Yeah. You know, here's another thing. I don't want to put this into like a man versus a woman thing, but there's some truth to this. Men tend to lose weight much quicker and easier than women. And I think it has a lot to do with the hormones. And, you know, you could be a female watching, let's say, my channel, and I talk like, you know, the first, what was it? The first 3 months, I think, on Carnivore, I lost 60 pounds. And they could get completely frustrated saying, how did this guy lose 60 pounds in 3 months? I've been doing this for 6 months and I've lost 2 pounds. You know, that could be for a lot of different reasons. But one of those reasons can just be, for some reason, guys seem to gain weight and lose weight really fast.
Yep.
Now, I will say, at least for me, with eating carnivore, I can't gain weight. If I gain weight, it's because I started eating something I shouldn't have for a little bit of time. Like I did last year in December. I gained like 20 pounds at Christmas time. And then I got back on track, and it's taken me pretty much the entire year to lose that weight. And I'm still probably 5 pounds away from that. So I probably only lost 15 pounds in the last year. But that's another point too. And for some people that can lose weight really fast, like I did early on, after you lose a lot of that weight, then it gets harder to lose weight as well. I kind of where I am now. Like, I'm not really losing much weight. I did lose like 5 pounds in the last couple of weeks, which is kind of weird because I haven't been very active either, which is weird. But I haven't really been losing weight. But yeah, I've been seeing other changes with my body. I've seen inches off my waist. You know, I've seen a difference in my muscle mass and that kind of stuff, right? And that's why sometimes the weight on the scale isn't a good thing to just go by either. And I you know, I don't know what you think about this, but I just lost my camera.
Where'd you go, Brian? Brian, come back.
You can hear me though, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm here. You can hear me. It's just my camera. Okay. I'll have to fix that in a second. But I want to hear what you think about this. Boy, I completely lost my train of thought. What it was now, because this camera thing's got me all that stuff.
Yeah.
What was
You
it
were
I
saying
was about to say?
you were saying that you had lost 5 pounds recently and you haven't really been that active, and the number on the scale, and
Yeah.
we were kind of
Oh
talking
yeah.
along that.
So I know it's like one of the biggest things that people look at is I want to lose weight and what do I weigh on a scale and so forth. But I kind of wish that our society didn't point to that, and especially like with carnivore and that we focus more on our health and are we improving our health than so much with our weight. Like the other thing is too, I think some people get too wrapped up in wanting to be too skinny.
Right.
Um, like I think my face is not skinny, but it's not fat, not like it used to be. But yet I still have belly fat to lose. I still have some pounds I could lose in terms of weight as well. But I'm more concerned about the health and getting rid of that fat and the visceral fat and stuff like that. And I've had comments before from people say, hey, you've been doing this diet now for 3 years. Why don't you look as skinny as somebody else? Like, I'll just say Carrie Mann, for instance, because he looks really good from the way he's done it. I said, well, I can tell you right now, he preaches he has not ate one single vegetable carb at all in his, whatever it was, 2 years or whatever.
Hmm.
I haven't had that kind of willpower. So there are times I do mess up. But the other piece of it is that's just how I am. It's taken me longer, I mean, I ruined my body for 48 years. It's taking longer than just a year to lose it all back, right? I got to figure
I
out what's
agree.
wrong with my video. So I'm going to let you talk. Maybe you can do the next thing. And I'm going
All
to
right.
try and figure out. I might have to
I
drop
think
off and drop back in.
Sure. I think another thing that can happen, and we've seen this with a few people in this space. I'll say Greg, our good buddy Greg, who kind of replaced. This was Greg and Brian's show, and I kind of came in when Greg had to bow out. But Greg went through a major life event. He moved. He lived in the same house for 20 plus years. I remember it was 25 years or whatever. And then his 2 daughters moved and got married, and he and his wife wanted to be closer. So when they get grandkids, they'll be closer. So they uprooted, sold their house that they lived in for years and years. They rented an apartment, and then they began building. I don't know if they've moved in yet, but they're building another house. And when you change states, cities, jobs, all that stuff, that's a major stressor. And if you're like me, and I think Greg told me one time he was a lot like me, that stress is a trigger. Well, when you make a major move like that, plus Greg's mom passed away just before all this happened. So I think if people have major life events, like there's a guy that we all know, if you've been on the space for a while, he was a really big carnivore YouTuber, and he's a great guy. Don't type his name if you know what I'm talking about. But he was doing amazing. He was really setting the world on fire. He was extremely inspirational. He was a huge inspiration to me because we have some things in common. But his father was diagnosed with cancer and was really bad off and ended up passing away. And this person really hasn't come back into this space since then. And I can appreciate that, because when my mom passed away, my life wasn't the same for a year, because I talked to my mom every day. And then she died from cancer. She was diagnosed on February 20th and she died March 31st. So it happened pretty quickly. And I actually helped her plan her funeral. So when people have these big life events, and the carnivore diet really has to take a back seat to handling death in the family, moving, birth of a new child, birth of a grandchild. You kind of this will put this in the back burner with every intention of getting back to it. But then life continues to happen day to day. And maybe you just don't come back to it, or maybe you don't have the bandwidth, if you will, to come back to something that can be challenging at first. Let's admit, this is not easy when you first get started. If you've been like Brian and I, you've been eating the wrong crap for 40, 50 years, and you're going to make this drastic change, it's a bit of a struggle. And if you're going through personal struggles, whether it be job loss, divorce, moving, death of a loved one, you may not have the the mental bandwidth, if you will, to get back on. So I think that causes a lot of people to fall off and fall away. And it's a shame too, because like me, I know the better I do on carnivore and the longer I stay on it, the more I'm able to deal with the stress of just life. Anyway, kind of a long-winded thing there, Brian, but that was the last one I had, was that stress of a major life event can cause you to fall off the wagon. And, if things don't go well, if you lost your job or whatever and ended up having to lose your home or lose your car or whatever. I mean, can you imagine how tough it would be to get started on something like this when you have so many other things to concentrate on?
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that stress eat, and they've known that their entire life, and when they get into stressful situations, they look to eat something. So, yeah. This comment. No amount of carnivore, fasting, etc. is going to make me look like Paul Saladino, and that's okay. My mental healing helped me understand that healing is greater than vanity, but everyone should follow their goals. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So sorry about the problem I had there with my video. I accidentally hit the cable, the USB cable, and knocked my camera offline. So I had to drop and come back in to get it to work again.
Well, welcome back, Brian.
Yeah. So I missed part of the conversation. You were talking about Greg there at one point, and I missed part of that. And then I got back in, and
Yeah. I was just saying that, Greg lost his mom. She passed away. And that not long after that, he and his daughters got married. He and his wife sold their house they lived in for, I think, 25 or 30 years. And they moved to a different state, changed jobs, and, just had like a lot of huge life events go on, kind of back to back to back. Some good, some maybe, obviously Greg losing his mom was not good, but, being closer to his daughters and the chance of maybe having grandbabies coming up and building a new house. But you can imagine, you're not going to in that situation, I wouldn't be able to prioritize eating the proper human diet if I had all of that going on kind of simultaneously. And I think that's what causes a lot of people to maybe fall off the wagon, and and then it's tough to get back on unless you get the rest of your life. So when I'm off, Greg, Brian, I'm sorry, when I'm off of work, I'm 100%, I'm rock solid carnivore. I'm rock solid with exercise, steps, grounding, sunshine. But I work between 13 and 16 hours a day. And like yesterday, I left for work at 8 o'clock yesterday morning. I got home at 11:30 last night. And was I perfect yesterday? Nope, I wasn't. The ambulance I was in, we were taking a guy to a nursing home about 55, 60 miles away. And as we pulled into the nursing home, the transmission quit working. We were stuck. And we had to wait. We were out in a rural area, so we had to wait an hour and a half for a tow truck to come get us. And then we had to be towed back. And I hadn't eaten anything. And all they had at this nursing home was a vending machine. So there are other things that kind of can get in the way of being, and I could have just fasted, but it was a very, very, very anxiety kind of day. Yeah, everything that could go wrong went wrong yesterday. And I didn't take any food with me. I was going to come home. I had another pound of grass-fed, grass-finished hamburger meat that I was going to come home and cook some burger patties. But I never made it home because we had all the problems with the ambulance. But so I fell off plan a little bit last night too. And it seems like when I fall off plan, something like that, I'll gain 5 or 6 pounds almost immediately. I guess it's because my body's holding on to the water. And then I've been rock solid perfect today. I'll be perfect tomorrow, perfect the next day, and that 5 pounds will be gone. But I tend to gain and lose, 5 to 10 pounds just constantly. But what you were saying earlier about, I would, even if I don't lose another pound, which I still plan to, I want to get down to, back down like size 34 jeans. I'm going to like size 36, 38 now, depending on who makes the jeans. But if I stayed right where I'm at weight wise, I am in such a better position with my mental health, my physical health, my strength. I'm doing sprinting, I'm lifting weights, I'm doing push-ups, I'm jumping rope, things that 3 years ago felt like I would never, ever, ever be able to do again for the rest of my life. Like that part of my life was over. And I can do darn near anything. I can climb ladders. I can climb, I can run up a hill. I can get down on the floor and get back up. So even if I don't lose another pound, the fact that I'm in so so much of a better place. And I think I'm healthier and I'm going to age better and be more mobile and independent later on in life. That number on the scale almost every day seems a little less and less urgent. And maybe it shouldn't. Maybe I should be more concerned about that. I just know that I wouldn't trade how I feel right now. And like if I could lose 70 pounds, get down to 180 pounds and be that person that I was in the 10th grade, but get that plantar fasciitis back or get back the road rage that seemed to plague me every time I got behind the wheel of a car, I'll just stay where I'm at right now, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
some people put all the emphasis on that number on the scale, and that's why they get fatigued and burned out.
Yep. I used to be that way. I used to, early on Carnivore, I'd weigh myself every single day. It's not as often now. I did, I don't know, like 3 or 4 days ago, and that was the first time in like 2 weeks. But there have been other times where I've probably gone a month more recently without weighing myself. It's just not as important to me as I've gone longer on Carnivore. It's more about the health and all the great benefits I've had. Like, you know, it's just amazing to me that I have gone almost, I mean, it's like, what, 3 years and 3 months without a single AFib episode. And I was having at least 2 to 3 a week before Carnivore. That right there means so much to me, so much more than what my weight on the scale is.
Right.
The fact that I don't have the issues like with back pain, and like when I first, before I started Carnivore, when I was trying to do keto for a few months, I still had this problem. My back and my hips would be so sore in bed that within an hour or two, I'd have to go down to the recliner and sit on the recliner the rest of the night because I couldn't lay in bed. And very quickly after Carnivore, that went away. I have not had any issues with that in over 3 years, sleeping in bed at night. No
Awesome.
issues. Those are the kinds of things that, to me, mean so much more than the weight on the scale.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Rick is going to be building a house. Be moving, but have no interest in changing my diet. So Rick is very handy. Are you building it yourself? Obviously, it's going to take a long time unless you have other people helping you. Or are you having it built? I don't know what happened here. Did we say something about salad?
You did. You
Earlier,
said your wife would have a salad and you take a few bites.
Oh, yeah, I did earlier. Yeah. You know what's funny? Before Carnivore, I used to eat salad a lot. And let's be honest here. Like, salad isn't necessarily the best tasting. The thing that makes it taste better is the salad dressing, which has seed oils and junk in it, right?
Yep.
But I do not miss salad at all because it really isn't that good tasting. It doesn't taste that good.
Yep.
That's why I don't think that I really miss vegetables overall that much. I've had some kind of a problem at times with where I want to eat mashed potatoes, but in general, like vegetables, it doesn't bother me because I don't think they're that good. They didn't taste that good to me to begin with before. Now, maybe that's why I had the problem with sweets, because I did think that sweets tasted good. But I will say this too. Now that I've been Carnivore for so long, if I have something, because I see it there, like I've done this where like my wife had cookies or something, and I was like, I'm going to take one of these cookies. And I start to take a bite, and I'm like, this is so disappointing. Forget it.
I'm almost
That's
there.
what I
I'm
remember.
almost there. Hey, Brian, come back
how I remember it.
Yeah, come back up to 858. Amy put a comment up there at 858. You see it? So she used to hate when the blood from a steak ran into her. Yeah. And then kind of catch up the comments there, if you will.
I used to hate when the blood from my steak ran into my mashed potatoes, but I don't have that problem anymore since I don't eat potatoes. Yeah. That,
Good point.
technically, it's not blood, it's myelin, right?
Mhm.
All the blood is drained from the meat of an animal before it's ready for consumption at like a grocery store or whatever. But that's okay. My wife has the same thing, like she'll call it blood, and I'll be like, my OCD will get me, and I'll be like, technically it's not blood, it's myelin. And she's like, shut up, Brian.
Looks like blood.
Sorry, I'll shut up now. You said there was another one you want me to?
Yeah, right up under that.
Right after?
Just come out in 905 Rye Biscuit.
Rice biscuit. Yep. Yeah. Okay. I posted this before, but for new folks, I healed with Carnivore from
Discogenic.
Discogenic. I can't. Here, you read it.
Discogenic neuralgia, including sciatica, GERD, sleep apnea, type 2, hypertensions, and off all meds, 5 for mental health. So
wow.
You hear that a lot. I mean, most people on here that have some type of testimonial, but Rye Biscuit's got a phenomenal one there. I was type 2 diabetic. I had hypertension. I still have AFib. It's pretty well documented. I still live in AFib. I'm in AFib right now, but I can run sprints. I've done 5Ks. I do push-ups. I do everything. That's my only, and I've heard other people talk about their eyesight getting better. My eyesight's not any better. I can't see anything. But I don't have the floaters. If you guys know what floaters are, I don't have those floaters in my eyes anymore. And I got to where they were so frustrating all day, and they went away, but my eyesight's not getting any better. It would help if I didn't have such filthy glasses on. But yeah, so that's amazing. Rye Biscuit. That's a true testimonial there. And people that suffer from those maladies, that they could see your story and realize that this is possible, maybe they would maybe they give it a try.
Yeah. So Amy said I couldn't eat red mashed potatoes. LOL. It still looked like blood. That's exactly what my wife says to me. Okay, whatever, Brian. Just shut up. It still looks like blood. So yes, I understand, Amy.
Yeah. So you guys out there in the comments, put on there, what do you think? What are some reasons that you guys think would cause somebody to get burned out or maybe have fatigue? Some that maybe Brian and I haven't mentioned. Can you guys think of any other reasons that somebody would go off plan or maybe just kind of walk away from this way of living, way of eating? Put in the comments down there so we can maybe look at a few more.
Yeah. I don't know if we really mentioned this one, but I wonder too, there's people out there that just plain peer pressure or family pressure does it, or doctor. They go to their doctor and their doctor's like, or even onto that doctor thing, they get blood work back and they're like, oh no, look at this. Look at my LDL. Or this one that actually kind of gets me, but people will be like, oh, look, my A1C went up 2 points or, point whatever. It used to be 5.0. It's 5.2 now. Well, there's actually a reason for that. And it's because help me here if I'm saying it wrong, but I think it's your red blood cells live longer. So your level, your A1C level ends up being a little bit elevated because of that. It doesn't mean that your sugar necessarily is elevated. So, but there are people that have done that. I've seen videos from other influencers that said, you know what? My A1C used to be 4.9. It's now 5.1, or it then went to 5.1 and now it's 5.2. This diet isn't working for me. And it's because they don't understand the biological part of what that number represents. Exactly.
And also, you see this stuff. I see it in some of my comments, Brian. You probably see it too. See it a lot on some of the other YouTube stuff out there. But somebody will come on there, and I don't know if it's a vegan person or if it's these bots that are put out there, and they'll say, my father tried carnivore and he died on the 3rd day. I mean, you see this like hysteria out there, and people can read that and maybe not understand that that's either a bot or troll or vegan or something like that. And you think, oh my gosh, I can't. For example, when I first decided to go keto, which was several years ago when I was 350 pounds. I had to do something. I lost my job because I was too fat to do it. I lost my job as a paramedic because I was too fat to do it. That's the truth. So I decided to try keto. About that time, the former coach from The Biggest Loser, Bob, there was Jillian Michaels and Bob. I can't remember Bob's last name.
Yeah,
but
I know who you're talking about.
He ended up having a heart attack. And my wife saw an interview he did on some YouTube thing or whatever, social media thing. He said he tried keto and that's what caused him to have a heart attack because all that fat was just killing his heart. Well, Bob Harper, that was his name. But one, I think first he was lying, and second, I'd love to see a toxicology, from his blood work. It was, this, that, and the other. And my wife was convinced then that I was going to have, and I was just doing keto back then, and she was convinced that because this Bob Harper, this guy that she'd seen on TV for all these years, that was a professional trainer and a nutrition person, said that keto is going to kill all these people because he had a heart attack and he almost died. And so people can see these other influencers or these bots or these trolls, if you will, and maybe they get scared away because, I feel better, my blood works better, I'm sleeping better, all this stuff, but my gosh, I don't want to have a heart attack and die because my LDL went up or because my A1C went up 2 points. And to your point, Brian, people don't take the time. People will study what cell phone to buy. Are they going to get the iPhone? Are they going to get the Samsung? And they'll spend hours researching a dress or a piece of furniture or whatever. But when it comes to the nutrition and their health, they're too busy or it's too complex to go and do some research and find out what all these numbers mean. Dr. Barry, with another doctor, wrote a book called Common Sense Labs. I need to order it because I know a pretty good bit about labs, but not as much as I should know. And I think people, they get scared because they don't understand the lingo or they don't do the research to understand what all these lab numbers mean. And they say one thing go up, or like you said, the A1C goes from 4.9 to 5.2 because their red blood cells are living so much longer. They interpret that as, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. Let me get off this thing. Without thinking it through logically. Okay, you're going to get off this proper human diet and go back to the standard American diet. And you think that's somehow going to help you be healthier or live longer. It defies logic, but you can see how the layperson would see that and get scared and say, I can't risk my life over some bad diet.
Yeah. I do want to touch on something there, but first I want to read this comment from Amy. Weight gain instead of weight loss. I know that's frustrating for me. So that's another reason why people might burn out, quit the carnivore diet. So here's something I've noticed. When I was early in carnivore, I would get a lot of comments, some on my YouTube videos, just some on Facebook, stuff like that, when I post stuff on Facebook, from people trying to deter me with carnivore or saying like, hey, be careful with that. I got kidney disease from eating all the protein. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, how much freaking protein were you eating? Like that shouldn't be a thing. But I'd get a lot of those comments and people saying things that just didn't sound right, things that could have been bots and so forth. I hardly ever get those comments anymore, especially on Facebook. And I almost wonder if it's part of, this is a bit of a conspiracy theory in me, but is it part of a campaign from whoever, big pharma, food industry, whatever, that is really going out there and trying to deter people that are early in on low carb or carnivore? And then if they've been on it for a while, they're like, I'm just not even going to bother that person anymore.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's something like that.
Could be, because I didn't really get a lot of that stuff. And if you go back and look through my comments, I get a pretty good bit of stuff now. But I went from like 1,200 subscribers on YouTube to 3,000 with one or two videos that did really well. And I got a bunch of subscribers from that. And it seems like when that happened, I started getting, bro, man, you're going to die. My uncle did so-and-so, and you need to realize this. And it seems like now it's kind of tapering off. I know there for a while, like every other comment was somebody trying to dissuade me. And it was people I never heard of before. And I would gain 5 subscribers and then lose 5 subscribers. Almost like they came in, subscribe, because you can't comment if you're not a subscriber. So they would come in, subscribe so they could leave a comment and then unsubscribe. And now my subscriber count's 33, 40, and it's been really, really consistent. Gain one or two, lose one or two, but I don't have those comments to the same frequency that I did, say, 6 months ago. So maybe to your point, maybe they're trying to get people early on to knock them down, swat them away before they get a little bit of traction. And of course, at 3,300 subscribers, I have no traction, but I'm very, very, very thankful for the 3,300 I have. But yeah, I mean, I mean, it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but you experienced the exact same thing I experienced. And these are people I've never seen that screen name on anything else ever. It pops in one time, Mike Joe from Tampa, Florida, or, you know, whatever it is. And then they had this one thing and then they're gone. I go back and check my subscriber. They're not there and I never see them on anything else. So maybe it's because you can set these bots up. These people can go in there, set these bots up to come in and do this. AI will, you know, and they'll pop in, leave a comment and pop out. And, you know, once you stick with it for a while and you don't give up, maybe they move on to the next person who's trying to have some influence to help people get healthier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that could really be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rick says that the 42-year-old carnivore here, or the guy that's been carnivore for 42 years, says the carnivore diet really killed me, didn't it?
Yeah.
Talking about the book that you were the great the Common Sense Labs from Dr. Barry. It's a great book. And then we were talking about Bob Harper. Rick says he's also a fruitcake. I think you might be right. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just saying. Oh, I don't know. I gotta say, you know, there are some people that I followed when they were carnivore, and then over this summer there was that whole thing with the sugar diet, right? Remember that? And there's some people that moved away from doing carnivore. Or in the same thing with keto. There were people that were keto and they went to the sugar diet. A lot of them ended up coming back pretty quickly because they just didn't feel good doing it. But I happened to stumble across a video, and I'm not going to say who it is, but somebody that used to be carnivore, and I saw their video more recently, and they're still apparently doing high carb now. And basically their message was, after I got past the first couple of weeks, it's been better for me, and this blood level is better, and that blood level or whatever. And maybe it's working okay for them right now. Maybe that's great if they want to. I mean, there's no denying that carbohydrates break down as glucose in your body. And there's no denying that your body technically can make all the glucose that it needs. There's no denying that most people that eat a very high carb diet over years tend to have issues, health issues, especially like type 2 diabetes, eventually dementia, stuff like that. So I feel bad for this person, because I think they're going back down that path that they once were. And maybe they're not noticing it right away. I know everybody has the right to do what they want to do. And, you know, if they're feeling better right now, that's great. But I really worry about that, you know? Like, I feel this person might be ruining themselves long term. They're still a younger person, but they were an influencer. And I don't know, I don't think they're a very popular influencer. I mean, I know it's kind of hard to have less subscribers than me, but I think they have less subscribers than me even. But it's interesting to see that they are still going that other way and thinking at least that for them it's better. And I don't know, maybe when they were doing carnivore, maybe there were some things that they weren't doing exactly right for their body, and that's why they feel better. I don't know, but I just thought I'd bring that up. That's an interesting situation that I've seen.
And I will say this, I don't know, and we're still relatively early on. Did you see, I think, Brian, I might have sent it to you or forwarded it to you, or you may have seen it on Facebook, where Dr. Baker had a graph on there of the meat consumption in America. That like the day he announced that he was a carnivore, and then the day he released his book, and then the day that he, I don't know, did something on social media, and how the beef consumption in the U.S. went up. He said, "I'm sure it's just coincidence." So this thing's been around 15 years or so, but I have yet to meet somebody who does a low carb. I want you to say carnivore, just a low carb life, that had to have their leg cut off or their foot cut off. I said it earlier, and I'm gonna say it again. In this country, you guys welcome to fact check me on this. About every 3 minutes, somebody loses a limb due to diabetes, and probably 99.9% of it is 100% unnecessary. The type 2 diabetes, that's what somebody was saying earlier, they completely reversed their type 2. I reversed my type 2. It's gone. I don't have to worry about having my left leg amputated. But I wish that, we're all, adults in this country, and we can choose whatever path we want to go down. It's just, for me, I will never forget how miserable I was 3 years ago, and how great I feel right now. And I don't want to pull any levers or press any buttons that's gonna change that, because this is, like I tell my wife, and like I think I've told you, Brian, people on here, I wish that everybody on planet Earth could feel as good as I feel at least one day, and I feel that good every day, even today.
Yeah. That brings up another thing. I think we've talked about this before, but I've also heard other people ask this question. Would you rather feel really good, have high quality of life, but live longer? How do I say it? Let's say you live 10 years less than you could have, but you would always have been in pain, this health issue, that health issue, and it wasn't a good high quality of life. And I know for me, like, the answer is that I'd rather have the higher quality of life, even if it meant I lived 10 years less.
Yep.
I don't know why that's so weird for me to say it that way, but I honestly don't think that would be the case, that because I actually felt better and healthier, that I would live 10 years less than the other way. But if that would end up being the case, I'd be okay with it, because the higher quality of life and not being in pain all the time like I was and everything is just huge.
Here's what I'll say to that, Brian. The way I feel now, I want to live. 3 years ago, I spent most of my time wanting to die. Take it for what it's worth. I want to live. I cannot wait for tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm filming a video tomorrow, guys. Watch. I didn't put out a video today because I had such a screwed up day yesterday, and I didn't get home from work almost midnight. But I'm going to put out a video tomorrow, and it's going to really kind of dive into what Brian and I are talking about right now. I hope you'll watch it. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope you will share this video. It'll be out tomorrow afternoon, and I can see 60 from where I'm sitting now. Me and Rick are both really, getting close up there, and I don't know how old all the rest of you guys are, but I'm in at least the sixth inning of life, right? So I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning, and I just enjoy feeling this good, and I look forward to every day. I look forward to the winter coming, then I look forward to spring coming. I mean, I just have such a positive, forward-looking thing that, to Brian's point, if I lived 10 years less, if I died 10 years earlier, it would not even be a question. I'd say sign me up, versus living 20 years longer, and the misery that I lived in every single minute of every single day 3 years ago. I cannot overstress the dichotomy between my life 3 years ago on a day-to-day basis and my life today. It's two completely different universes, and it's all thanks to proper human diet, even though I tend to screw up more than I'll really care to admit. Anyway.
Yeah. I think that's a great spot to end the live stream.
Yeah.
That was very well spoken.
Well,
we're like almost an hour and 40 minutes at this point. We'll be back next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. Don't know what our topic will be yet, but hey, that's going to be just a couple days before Halloween, right? So
yeah, two days before
Halloween's
Halloween.
on a Friday this year. Yeah, Halloween's on a Friday this year. Interesting. But anyway, so yeah, we'll be back then. Anything that you want to add before we end tonight?
Brian, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I hate to do this to you, but I owe you this because you put me on the spot last week. Next Wednesday will be 2 days before Halloween. Wear your best costume, and I'll wear mine.
Oh my gosh. Halloween costume.
Halloween costume. We'll pick a topic to talk about, but you got to be in costume. Pick your best Halloween costume, and I'll put mine on too. And people will get a kick out of that. We won't discuss between now and then. When we go live, you'll see me and I'll see you for the first time. How about that? That'll be fun. We'll come
I
up
don't
with a
think
good
I've dressed up for Halloween in a long time, man. This is you're killing me here. This is really putting me on the spot.
I'm giving you 7 days.
All right. Excuse me. I think anybody that tunes in next Wednesday that wants to take pictures of themselves in Halloween costume and send it to us and have us feature it on the live stream, go ahead and do that. Let me actually put my let's see. I'll put my email in here. And you can send it to me and we'll feature it.
Next, we'll put it up there.
So there you go. There's my email. So yeah, if you want to send us any Halloween pictures. And so I have a feeling we're going to do some kind of Halloween theme as our topic we'll come up with. I know we already did one last week, but we'll come up with something different that has some sort of a Halloween theme to it.
Yeah.
All right. So 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central next Wednesday. Don't forget, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I come out with new videos. Friday, I'm going to have my most recent interview with Rick on there. Rick has a live stream on Saturdays. You guys always want to check out. And Johnny, I think you said you're going to be coming out with your next video tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yep, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
So be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, we'll see y'all next Wednesday. Bye. Got to hit end live stream. Sorry. All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.